Jackson, are you there?
Yes, I am.
You're on with Ammon.
Hey Jackson, how's it going? You're here with Ammon and Eric on the Arrow in the Head podcast.
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. How you guys doing?
Really great. Thanks for taking the time to join us.
No worries, no worries. I'm just hanging out right now in New Orleans. Got a show tonight with my band, 100 Monkeys. The 40th show on our 100 city tour.
Nice.
I'm excited about that. Yeah, my mother's hometown. She was born and raised in New Orleans, so kind of cool to be back.
Yeah, that's great. So tell us a little bit about Dread. It's a pretty big role for you, right? First, like, really major starring little role you got going?
I would say so. I guess it's my first kind of leading man type role. I'm used to playing more character types and a little more of the out there characters, if you will. And so now it's kind of fun to get more of a grounded sense of the character and to play a development over the entire course of the film of this character and how he goes from being a kind of shy pariah and then kind of mans up and really becomes a man over the course of the film.
What attracted you to Dread more than anything else?
Well, I think what first attracted me to Dread was the overall storyline and the arcing the sense of the characters and how they develop over the course of the film. You kind of you pulled into this very realistic world that you can relate to these characters and you kind of go along with them as they reveal their fears and eventually have to face them head on, whether they want to or not. And I think that's something that appealed to me because it's how you grow and develop as a human. You have to eventually face your fears, or you have to go through hard times in life in order to see the softer side of life. You have to go through the darkness in order to see the light.
Mm.
Now, did you take in a lot of like some of your own fears while you were doing this role?
Yeah, I had to kind of go back, I suppose, back to my past to my own personal dread, which was realized 4 years ago, and one of my best friends passed away from adrenal cancer at the tender age of 20 years old. My friend Spencer Bell, who was a very prolific singer-songwriter and artist. And since his passing 2 years ago, we've been able to release 3 of his albums now posthumously. And that's been very important to us to raise awareness for orphan cancers and for Spencer's music, because his music is so incredible. And we're actually setting up a Spencer Bell Legacy Foundation show in association with the ASCCNow.com Foundation, which is basically artists supporting a cure for cancer now. And so we're throwing a big concert in Dallas, Texas on April 24th. So if people want to go check that out, they can go to ASCCNow.com or type in Spencer Bell into Google and you'll find all this amazing music. And if you go onto iTunes or Amazon, you can hear a lot of clips of Spencer's albums that we've been able to release so far and see what an amazing artist he was, an amazing singer-songwriter.
Well, that's a
and
really
support the cause.
Yeah, that's a great cause, and I'm sure he'd appreciate it. So I mean, the film itself gets pretty intense frequently, and I mean, not just in a scary way, but I mean, just dramatically and from a performance standpoint. Can you talk about some of the, filming some of the more intense moments, or what the most difficult sequence was to film?
Well, I don't want to talk too much to give away, any plots or plot points or spoilers.
Right.
Yeah, there's some very dark moments in the film and very rough visuals that we had to create and face and deal with as honestly as possible. And so that was a challenge, but it's also the joy of being an actor, is going through those challenges, because if it was easy, it wouldn't be that much fun, would it?
Right.
Now, is there what kind of drew you to the script? Was it because Clive Barker was based on a Clive Barker short story, or were you really interested? Are you a big fan of Barker's work in general, or is it just a good script overall and really made you interested in it?
I think there's it's a little bit from column A, a little bit from column B. It's one of those things. When I first got the script, I definitely knew Clive Barker's name, and I was drawn to it just based off of his name alone. And I read the script, and I found it to be on parallel with a lot of Clive Barker's other work, except a little bit more humanized, a little bit more realistic, as opposed to the kind of more fantasy-driven elements of like Hellraiser or whatnot. and I thought it was just an incredible story that could happen in real life, and that's what really drew me to it. And I gave it to a friend of mine to read after I read it, and when he got through to the end of it, he was like, "Oh man, the ending almost made me wretch there." So visceral, so real. And I was like, "Yep, this is a good project. I want to do this."
Yeah, it's a pretty disturbing ending, which we won't spoil, but it's certainly not a rosy ending. Was that ever? Did you ever have concerns about that? Getting into a movie where it's kind of going to leave the audience a little bit down.
Well, I mean, I think it's more honest to the short story and more honest to the film itself and to Clive Barker's world to end it where it was. My only concern going into it was that they might change the ending to do that happy Hollywood ending, and that to me was like I was pretty adamant on set. I think we all were. The producers and director writer Anthony DeBlasi, we wanted to tell a story as true to Clive Barker's short story as we could.
Now, was Barker involved? I mean, I know he's a producer, but was he on set at all? Was he kind of mixing into it, or was it strictly the director's vision from beginning to end?
Oh, I definitely think Clive Barker was very involved in the pre-production and the post-production aspects of the filmmaking. However, he wasn't there on set, and I regrettably never got a chance to meet him. I was running and gunning, shooting the entire film in 28 days, and I don't think I had a single day off.
Oh.
But I loved it. I think Anthony DeBlasi and Clive Barker have had a working relationship for some years now, and so I do feel like Clive Barker was very informative about the transition from short story to full length feature, and I think Anthony DeBlasi did an incredible job keeping it in that Clive Barker realm.
And it's his first film, right?
Yeah, it's his first full length feature. Yeah, definitely.
What are the challenges of working with a guy who's making his filmmaking debut?
I wouldn't say there were any necessary challenges for me, at least, as an actor working with him. Anthony and I hit it off the first time we met over a couple of beers and fish and chips in a London pub. We kind of got along famously from the start, and it was just a pleasure and a joy to work with somebody who's so energetic and so passionate about the project he's working on, and that passion spreads. And it was just every day was just a really fun day. Even though we were filming a really dark film, we had a lot of fun doing it.
Now, what was the kind of the difference of filming something like this versus filming something like the Twilight movies that have been extremely popular over the last couple of years?
Well, I think one of the main differences was with Dredd, we didn't have fans coming to our hotel room doors and knocking on our hotel room doors at all hours of the night and stalking us to set and all that. The Dredd was much more of we filmed a remote location out there in England, in Egham, Surrey, and it was just being able to kind of delve into the characters, and it was a short shoot. We only shot 28 days, as opposed to Twilight or New Moon or Eclipse, where they're much longer shoots, or like The Last Airbender, where we shot for 4 months, and I had to do two months of preparation, kung fu training, and all that before we even shot those 4 months. So, filming an independent like Dredd is just such a joy because it is an independent, and you're kind of running and gunning and doing it, and it's an extreme collaboration between all of the artists involved. And so that was just a joy.
So the Dredd was filmed, I believe, right before Twilight came out, correct?
Yes, it was filmed October, and I believe the first Twilight came out November 17th, if I'm correct. And so, yeah, it was just we finished filming only not even a month before the first Twilight film came out.
And so you still had your anonymity, so to speak, back then.
So to speak, it's yeah, definitely. I still do now to a certain degree. I like to change my look a lot, so I'm not actually a blonde vampire in real life. I'm actually I'm a brunette human.
Yeah, how has can you talk about how is it pretty crazy to have the whole Twilight fascination that's going on around the world? Does it ever just blow your mind that there's so many people into this franchise of books and movies?
Well, I think it's it's one of those things that it's an idea that spreads through the collective consciousness. It's like when a bunch of people kind of realize something or find a film or a musician or like a band or something that they really like. It just kind of spreads by word of mouth, and then it goes viral and all of that. Especially in this day and age with the internet, it's so easily accessible to find different forms of the arts and to find different people who are really into it, and people can band together and support something like Twilight, which is pretty amazing. It was whenever we were filmmaking, it was kind of becoming more and more apparent as we were filming that people were really excited about this, and something that it's been a huge part of a lot of people's lives. And I've heard from many different sources that it's brought like families together, or it's got people reading again, which is an amazing aspect of filmmaking, being able to let people have a little bit of escape from their normal lives, even if it's just for 2 hours a day.
Now you've got Eclipse and I think Last Airbender come out like practically at the same time, right?
Pretty close, yeah. I think they're about a week apart.
That's gonna be pretty sweet.
Oh yeah. It'll be a lot of traveling, a lot of press interviews, a lot of red carpet. So it's gonna be a lot more of the business side of the arts, I guess, if you will. But that's all right with me. That's all cool. I love being able to support projects that I've been a part of and that I love doing. So I'm really excited about it. I'm excited to have both those films out there.
And can you talk about, everybody's kind of speculating right now about who's going to direct Breaking Dawn. We've heard like a ton of names thrown out, a lot of like high-profile names. Is there any light you could shed on that, or are you just kind of learning like the rest of us are?
I'm right there with the rest of everybody else, man. I'm not too sure. Personally, I hope they are able to resurrect Stanley Kubrick and have him make.
And that, Eric, was Jackson Rathbone.